Hello everybody, and welcome to the Primary ICT Support video channel. My name is John, and in this video we'll be continuing our Visual Builder series with a look at the Themify Visual Builder in more detail and running through some of the more advanced features and tips and tricks to help you. In this video we'll be looking at mobile responsiveness, copy, paste and import and export, saved modules and rows, layout parts, animation, scroll effects, and custom CSS. This is the fourth video in the Visual Builder series, so if you haven't watched the first three videos, please do so, as this will introduce you to the Visual Builder and its components. We also have a WordPress series with a more in-depth look at WordPress itself. We have a lot to cover here, so let's get started. If you've watched all the videos in this series and edited the site a little, you'll understand how easy it can be to make a beautiful website, as shown here, with the many different modules available to you. You'll also know that the site is mobile responsive, but sometimes the desired effect isn't automatically applied, as some options do not carry over. So, to start, you can see the page I have designed here. We have some text, images, icons, and also the social share module. This looks great on a browser window with no issues, but look what happens when we click through the devices. In most cases, the mobile version will look fine, but this mobile version of our page doesn't look as good. The top part of the page, where the image is at the side, and the links also going onto two lines. Plus, I would like the icons to stack on top of each other. Let's see if we can make this look a little better, while introducing you to some of the mobile responsive features of the site. The image and the text at the top of the page, I would like them to stack on top of each other with the image at the top. So, when we hover over the sub-row dot and hover over the cog icon, you can see the column options, which is already selected as auto. Let's change this to a single column. You can see the image has gone underneath the text, as this was the second column in the row, which again is what you would want, but we can change the order by clicking the right to left button here. This will flip the order and display the image first. Great. But what about the social share icons? I would like these to not have the text after the icons, but only on a mobile site. So let's edit them. This looks great now, but when we go to the desktop version, you'll notice that the text is still missing. This is because not all the options are mobile responsive. In fact, all options on the default editing sidebar panel are not mobile responsive, which is a shame. So what can we do about it? We can use the visibility settings and duplicate the module. For this module here, we'll make sure the text is showing, and on the visibility tab, make sure it is hidden for mobile. Then, for the other duplicated module, we can hide the text, but make sure it is only visible on mobile using the visibility panel on the sidebar again. Lastly, we have the icon section, where they all stack on top of each other. And we can now simply hover over the sub-row dot and choose a column layout that suits our needs. I've chosen a 2-column layout here instead of a 4-column layout. We can now use the built-in preview here and switch between the desktop and mobile views to see the changes in action before we save the page. One of the most useful features of the Visual Builder is the ability to save modules and rows, and also copy and paste modules and rows around from page to page, and also site to site, using import and export. To copy a module or row, you will need to hover over the module or row dot, and then again hover over the 3 dots to get to the extra options. You will then see the copy option. Click this to copy the information. You can do the same with columns, but the option is directly when you hover over the dot, as there are much less options on the column. You can then go to another page and paste this information, but there's a catch. You must paste the content to the same module or row type. Columns are all the same, so you can paste any column to any other column. You may have seen the secondary menu when you hover over Paste. You have two options, Paste and Paste Styling. Paste is a wholesale paste option, and the module or row you're copying will be pasted completely. But sometimes, like in the example below, you will have changed all the information in the module, such as these icons. You may have changed the title, URL and icon, and just want to bring over the new margin and font size changes. Well, with Paste Styling, you can do just that, without changing the fundamental options. Import and export is essentially the same as copy and paste, but you can save the information for longer, for future use. Go to the three-dot secondary menu on a row, column or module and click Export. A pop-up window appears with JSON code that can be copied and saved in a text file for use at a later date. To import this information back to the site, you must import the code to the same type of row, column or module as you have exported the code from. So, go to the secondary three-dot menu and click Import to paste the code. Saved modules and rows is another fantastic feature of the Visual Builder and can save a lot of time and effort designing pages that have a consistent design throughout. To save a module or row you have designed, for instance, a nicely designed button you want to use across your website, like this one here as an example. Firstly, hover over the button module and then go to the three-dot secondary menu here and click Save. This will bring up a prompt to add a name and also give you an option to save as a layout part, which I will be explaining shortly. Once the button is saved, then you can add these from the Saved tab on the sidebar here. All your saved modules and rows are saved in their respective tabs. Just drag and drop these onto the site as normal to replicate the saved module. The same applies for saved rows, which can save you a lot of time when fleshing out a site with similar content on different pages. We mentioned layout parts above and have seen the layout part module, but what are layout parts? Well, a layout part is where you can save or create a section of your website and add this layout part to different pages. A big advantage of this is that you can update the layout part and change information which will be reflected across the site automatically. These can be a great idea if you have a sidebar or a banner section at the bottom of your page, for example. You may need to change it seasonally. This would be a good option to use a layout part. Then you would only need to change the layout part once to implement the changes everywhere on your site. An amazing feature that comes with a Visual Builder is animations. These can be very effective while building a page, but can also be very tricky to get right and not overdo them. The best thing to do when you start is to have a page built exactly how you would like it to look once the page animations have finished. Then build in the animations. To edit the animations, you need to click on a module or row to edit it. Then click on the Animations panel here. There are lots of options here, but we are just focusing on the animation section. The scroll effects will be looked at next. So what types of animations are there? An entrance animation is exactly what it says. When the module or row enters the browser's viewport, i.e., so you can actually see the module or row, then the animation will start. For our example, I would like the image here to fade in from the left and then the feature module to do the same from the right. So I'll click on the image here to go to the animation panel and select Fade in Right from the list of animations. There are a lot of animations in this list, and it can be confusing, but just have a look through. You'll start to see that there aren't a huge amount of animations. They are repeated from different directions. Click the tick to save the animation and the page. Now, Unfortunately, the animations aren't something that are available to view using the preview mode of the builder. So you will have to exit the builder to view the animations, like this. And as you can see, the page loads, and because the module is in view, the animations will start and the image comes in from the left with a fade. Very nice, but we can do more. Open the builder again and let's add some animations to the feature module the same way. Here, I'm adding a fade from the right to each module and saving the page. I'll exit out and view the animations. Again, this looks very good and you may be happy with this as a finished animation, but you can do something else to make your animations really pop. If we turn on the builder and edit the features one by one and add a short delay to the animation, the delay animation option will expect a number in seconds, which will delay the animation by that set amount. We only want a very short delay on the animations, so I'll add a 0.2 seconds delay to the featured module, like this. The first featured module I have set a 0.2 second delay, but the next one down I'll make that 0.4 seconds, and lastly I will set this module to 0.6 seconds. Let's save this and see the results. As you can see, the effect is very nice, but there is a third option to repeat the animations a number of times. For me, this option hasn't been great. There is little control over the repeating animations, so I've stayed clear of this, and I suggest you do the same. A hover animation is exactly what it says. When you hover over the module with your mouse, then the animation will start. Let's take this example we have been working on and add a hover animation to the image. Go to the animations panel again here, and I'm going to choose Jello from the list. Save the page and exit the builder to see the effect. When I roll over the image, the Jello animation starts and the image wobbles. Now we will move on to scroll effects. These can be very confusing but very powerful if used correctly, and I couldn't possibly go over all the different settings in one video, but I will show you a nice example here. So if we take this page here for example, I have the same starting row as our animation page, but lower down I have another section which is separated out by some dividers. Also, we can scroll up and down the page easily. What I would like to do is fade in the image and then back out based on its position on the viewport of the browser window. Firstly, you will need to edit the module and go to the Animations panel. At the bottom of this panel, you will see the Scroll Effects section. Select Transparency to see the options. The Direction option is basically asking you what the scroll effect should do. Do you want the image to fade in, fade out and then in, or vice versa? We want fade in out. Leave the viewport option for now, save the page and exit the builder to see the effect. As you can see, the image fades in and then out again as it enters and leaves the viewport. Very nice, but we can do more. We can add a slight blur and some scaling to really make the animation pop. So let's go back to the builder and the animations panel for the image, and let's add the scale. We would like the image to scale down from 1.5 times the size of the final image. Keep the transform origin the same, which means the scale anchor point will be in the middle of the image. And let's change the viewport settings to 0 and 35%, meaning the scale will take place at the bottom. If this was set to 0 and 100%, then the scale of the image would be 1.5 at the bottom and 1 at the top. But we want the animations to happen at the start of the page only. Next, we'll add a blur, and we'll blur the image in with a blur level at 10 and the viewport at 0 and 35% again. Let's save the page and exit the builder, and now you can see the animation looks really good. Sticky effects are used to make modules and rows stick to the page as the other content moves as you scroll. We can use the same page content as before, and I've added in some dividers to separate the content out. I will go to the Image Animation panel and click the Sticky tab and set the module to stick when the module hits the top position. I've set this to 50%, so that's where the image will stop when it hits 50% of the page. Let's save this and see the results. As you can see, it looks great, but it doesn't stop being stuck and covers the other information on the page. So we need to unstick the module somehow. Now this panel can get very confusing, so I would try to get into the habit of naming your rows using the row anchor ID. So I've named the row after the row of my module. Next, content row, and you'll see why now. Let's go to the module sticky settings and click the unstick tick box. This will give you some more options, and we need to unstick the element when the next row, we've named next content row, hits this element. So what we're saying is that when the next row down, we called next content row, hits the module, then it will unstick and carry on scrolling. You can see how confusing this could get with 10 or 20 rows, and they all have random row IDs, so very useful to name them. So let's see how this looks now. Save and exit the builder, and as we scroll, the image is stuck at 50% of the way up the page, and then when all the features have passed, then the next row comes up and it will be unstuck and carry on scrolling. Along with the visual features you are able to change on this website, and there are many more properties to change than I've showed you in these videos. Sometimes there will just be a need to change the CSS of an element. CSS is a programming language that sits alongside HTML and styles everything like the text color, backgrounds and much more. All the style options in these panels for rows, columns and modules are basically changing the CSS behind the scenes. So, by clicking the CSS link in the top bar, you will get a pop-up window where you can enter some CSS code like this. Please note that these changes will only affect the current page you are editing, so this should only be used sparingly and is quite an advanced feature, so only people who know what they are doing should be editing the CSS. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found these tips and tricks useful. We have a full series of videos on the Visual Builder now, so please check them out for much more information on the basics, the builder screen and the modules in the builder and how to use them. This brings our tutorial series on the Visual Builder to a close. If you have any questions about the Visual Builder or editing the site, please don't hesitate to make a ticket or contact Primary ICT Support direct. I've been John Emmett for Primary ICT Support. Thank you very much for watching.